All right, today we're going to dive into the hidden forces that shape the world we live in. We're talking about the cultural DNA that's literally embedded in our streets, our buildings, and the very communities we call home. No, really, think about it. Have you ever walked through a neighborhood and just felt its vibe, or wondered why your hometown feels like a totally different world from the city just one exit down the highway? Well, I'm here to tell you that's not an accident. There's a powerful and pretty fascinating reason behind that feeling. You see, that personal connection, that feeling of home or identity you have for a specific spot, it's not just a vague emotion. In the world of geography, it actually has a name. It's called a sense of place. This is all about the emotional and symbolic meaning we pour into a location. It can be super personal, like the warmth you feel thinking about your childhood home. Or it can be this huge shared identity, like the unmistakably romantic feel of Paris. It's basically the soul of a location. Okay, but here's the thing. That feel, that sense of place, it doesn't just happen by magic. It doesn't just appear out of thin air. It's actively built. It's created by people. So let's look at how that actually happens. That's where something called placemaking comes in. So if sense of place is the emotional feeling, placemaking is the physical action. It's the whole process of designing, defining, and shaping our environment to reflect the values and identity of a culture. And once you know what to look for, you see this absolutely everywhere. Think about the unique architecture that makes a city instantly recognizable, or even just the layout of the streets. And of course, the very deliberate creation of ethnic neighborhoods like a Chinatown or a Little Italy. That's all placemaking in action, preserving and celebrating a specific heritage. So let's break that down one more time, just to make it crystal clear. Placemaking is the physical action, the building, the designing, the modifying. Sense of place is the emotional result, the identity, the meaning, the feel we get from that landscape. One is the cause, the other is the effect. Simple as that. Okay, so if we're all out there making places, what are we using? What are the actual ingredients that go into this process? What are the fundamental building blocks of a cultural landscape? All right, ingredient number one, and it's a big one, language. But it is so much more than just the words we use to talk to each other. And I absolutely love this metaphor. Think about it, a giant freight container. It doesn't just move itself. It carries goods, it carries history, it carries value inside. Well, language does the exact same thing for culture. It carries our stories, our traditions, our humor, our entire identity from one generation to the next. And you can see this playing out on a massive scale, like the dominance of Spanish in Latin America, which tells a very clear story about its colonial past. But you also see it on a tiny local scale. Here in the US, whether you say y'all, you guys, or if you're in Pittsburgh, yins, your dialect instantly signals where you're from and helps create that local sense of place. Our second key ingredient, religion. And this one is powerful because it doesn't just shape what's in our minds, it physically changes the ground beneath our feet. I mean, think about it. People build these incredible sacred spaces, churches, temples, mosques, that become major landmarks. They create these very distinct visual patterns on the landscape. You see it in the US, with Congregationalism defining parts of the Northeast and Baptist churches dotting the South. And of course, on a global scale, it's even more pronounced, with Islam shaping the Middle East and Hinduism defining the landscape of India. And that brings us to our third and final key ingredient, ethnicity. This is all about a shared cultural background, a common heritage that creates this powerful sense of belonging and community. And this is where that idea of building community infrastructure really comes to life. A fantastic example of this is the Somali immigrant community in Minnesota. They didn't just build a mosque for worship, they built a community hub that's also a school and a gathering place, literally embedding their unique cultural identity right into the American landscape. Okay, so we've got our three core ingredients: language, religion, and ethnicity. They build our world, they give it meaning. Simple enough, right? Well, this is where things get really complex and really interesting. So here's the big question. Can those exact same ingredients, the things that build a nation up and create a powerful sense of unity, also be the very same things that tear it apart? The answer is a fascinating and resounding yes. Geographers have a name for these opposing dynamics: centripetal and centrifugal forces. Think of centripetal forces like glue or gravity. They pull people together. They unify. Centrifugal forces, well, they're like a wedge, driving people apart, and creating division. And this right here is the whole ball game. This is the aha moment. Just look at how the same cultural factor can go both ways. Religion, like Hinduism, was a massive unifying force for India after colonial rule, but at the same time, the division between Sunni and Shia Islam has been a major dividing force in the Middle East. It's the same with ethnicity. A shared Han identity helps unify China, but the distinction between Hutu and Tutsi led to horrific conflict in Rwanda. Same ingredient, totally opposite effect. It all just depends on the context. So, what does all this mean? It means you now have this amazing new lens, this toolkit for reading the cultural landscape all around you in a completely new way. So let's just do a quick lightning round recap. First, we have sense of place. That's the emotional feel. Then, placemaking. That's the physical action of creating it. We learned the core ingredients are language, religion, and ethnicity. And finally, the big one. Those very same ingredients can act as centripetal forces that pull us together or centrifugal forces that push us apart. And that brings us right back to you. The next time you walk down your street, I want you to really look. What languages do you hear? What sacred buildings do you see? What communities are shaping the identity of your town? And are those forces pulling people together or pushing them apart? Once you start looking, you'll see them everywhere.